we're now entering Nick and Mello's hyperspace.
I'm Nick, and I love going to cons and seeing a ton of fun cosplays and just being around a cool community of people having a lot of fun.
And I'm Carmelo, and I love con for cosplay, but also for art. I love seeing what artists and fans do with the world of blank. Star Wars, Star Trek, Spider-Man, everything. It's just really, really awesome.
So in our journeys through hyperspace, we examine everything and anything Star Wars from the point of view of two lifelong fans, one young, one old, who came together through the will of the Force.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about Nick attending DragonCon. And I'm really excited because this is Nick's first con. And so it'll be fun hearing about losing his con virginity in our episode today. So, Nick, do you want to start talking a little bit about sort of like your general impression of the con itself? Yeah, and you went with your wife, so it'll be interesting also to talk about Haley's experience.
Yeah, I'll speak for both of us, I guess. This was both of our first cons. So,
okay.
And for those of you that don't know, DragonCon is in Atlanta on Labor Day weekend every year. It's a lot bigger than I was expecting. I've heard about it because I'm from the state of Georgia. And, Atlanta's always been about an hour and a half for me. So I knew a lot of people in this area that went to it for years. And this is just the first time I've had an opportunity to go. So we were both a little overwhelmed by the experience because we were not expecting DragonCon to be this big. And I know I talked to you and other people about going to cons. And of course, you've been to Star Wars Celebration multiple times now. And you go to C2E2 in Chicago.
Right.
And those are very big. And, I guess I just was not expecting it to be what it was. We didn't even visit. There's, I think, 6 main hotels that it's hosted at. And I don't think there was 2 of them I don't even think we went to. We were so busy and there's so much going on.
The events are in different hotels?
They are. They have them all. They're all within walking distance of each other.
Right.
And on the same block. It's massive. I was not expecting it to be so. In a couple of the hotels, they have like a sky bridge that goes in between them. So it's just easy.
That's good.
Yeah, it's easy. You can just walk between the two.
That's good.
And like I said, the first day or so, I was kind of overwhelmed with just, I didn't know where to go. Didn't know, what to do, exactly what I wanted to do. And of course, this podcast, we love Star Wars and I love Star Wars. So pretty much everything we did was Star Wars centric.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
They have a very good Star Wars track at DragonCon. They have the 501st, the Georgia Garrison comes. They have volunteers. A lot of fan-led panels, costume contests, trivia, a lot of cool stuff. We didn't get to do everything. Some days we just kind of walked around and find something to do. But
right. Did you read anywhere about like how many people attended this year?
I did not. No.
Okay.
I did not see that anywhere.
I was just trying to like compare it to C2E2.
Yeah, I don't know. I know. We went to America's Mart, which was one of the buildings that had the con at, and that's where they had the vendors. That's where I met our friend Caleb King, and that's where he was, and that was probably the biggest one they had it at, and it was so massive. There were so many people. We got there, the vendors started about 11 a.m. We got there about 10:30, and there was already a massive line. It took us forever to get in. But it was on 4 floors. There was 4 different levels. So,
oh my goodness!
So if you're going just to one floor, it doesn't seem very bad. Like once you're inside, because it's so massive and there's so many vendors and it's very spread out. So you didn't feel like you're, packed in like sardines, I guess. So
that's interesting because in Chicago for C2E2, it's basically one massive room for where the vendors and the artist alley and all of that. It's just this because it's in a convention center. It's just massive, and I always got lost. It's sort of like, where was that artist that I wanted to buy that poster from? And we would take pictures of their numbers, so then we can look at the map and all of that. But I like the idea that you're describing of sort of different floors because it feels like you could just say, well, today I'm doing this floor and tomorrow I'm doing this other floor. I actually like that.
It was cool.
I like that a lot.
We only really went to one floor because most of everybody, I got to meet some of my favorite creators, artists, and my favorite Star Wars author. So they were all on the same floor. So, I'm sorry, Claudia Gray, my favorite Star Wars author, she was one floor down, but she was right. It was right there. So it wasn't a big deal.
So
And
she had like her own booth.
she had a booth, and it was, well, she had a booth with other authors, a couple of other
Oh,
Star Wars authors too,
okay.
and they were kind of like at a big table in the back. It went around in a corner, but it was awesome. It was easy to find her. She had a big poster, and I was like, "That's her."
Oh.
She was a delight. She was funny.
Well, as you know, I met her briefly in passing at Star Wars Celebration.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I didn't get anything signed, and I was trying to get something signed when I was at the bookstore. But at Celebration, you needed to enter the bookstore to get the book signed,
Yeah,
and I just didn't want to stand in line twice, so I
I don't
didn't
blame
do
you.
it.
There
But
was
if she comes to Chicago, I definitely would love to get at least one of my books signed. So
Well, see, the cool thing about this is I was expecting, based on other experiences I've heard, was there would be massive lines for everything. Well, when I went to the artist alley to meet some favorite writers and comic book writers and comic book artists, I remember just walking in and seeing Jerry Conway, and he's just sitting there, and I'm like, "There's no line. Do I just walk up? I don't know how this works." Haley's like, "I guess you just go talk to him, I guess." And I was like, "Okay." So I just walked up and was like, "Hey, how are you, sir?"
and
it was
pardon my ignorance, who is Jerry Conway?
Jerry Conway is a famous comic book writer. He's been writing comics for probably 50 years now or so.
Oh wow.
He's done a lot of famous stories. He's probably known for writing Spider-Man.
Okay.
He's the man that killed Gwen Stacy.
Okay.
And he created the
man
Punisher.
that
He's created Miss Marvel. He's created a lot of famous characters.
Really?
He's been in the industry a very long time, and he's still doing work. So,
fun.
So I got him to sign an issue of Spider-Man that I had, and it was cool. Very cool experience. I got a picture with him too. So,
that's awesome.
Very nice man. Very nice man.
That was sort of my experience when I met Charles Soule at C2E2. Like I expected this gigantic line because he was Charles Soule, and he was just
hanging out. Yeah,
he was just there.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something about sort of the balance? Like how much of it was comics, like real comics, and how much of it was sort of more like movie entertainment and television entertainment? I'm sort of curious
you mean
about
from the vendors, or do you
in terms of the,
just the overall con?
Well, either.
I think
we'll talk about cosplay later, but I'm sort of thinking about the guests.
The vendors, the guest. I think there was to me there was not a lot of big name actors or anything there. I mean, there were actors there, but there wasn't MCU actors there really. There wasn't any Star Wars actors or anything like that there. But they had people from the TV series Supernatural, TV series the Doom Patrol on HBO. Some of those casts were there. So I think there was William Shatner was there. That's a pretty big name.
Oh wow!
So yeah, there are some big names.
Was there anything connected to the new Lord of the Rings show?
They did a couple panels.
Okay.
Like a spoiler panel, because it came out that Thursday, the 1st, and that was the first day of con. So they did the next morning, I think Friday morning, they did like a panel of spoiler discussion. We didn't get to go. But it was cool. They had some things there for it, and then they had I think the night before they were going to do like a premiere, like a showing, because it came out like 9:00 at night. So they were going to do one by like 10 o'clock or something. And we were already in the hotel by then, so we didn't stay out very late. The latest we stayed out was about 9 o'clock. So they had stuff going on like almost 24/7. It felt like, and we're just kind of like,
I remember this past C2E2, I had two friends of mine that have their own sort of like entertainment podcast kind of thing in Puerto Rico. And we were like, we're going to go to the dance. We're going to dance. And by 9:30, we were like, oh, let's just go home.
Let's just go kick back.
Because they're long days. They're really long days. They're really long days.
Well, and they had a fun thing I wanted to go to, but I just was curious. They had the Star Wars track. They threw a party on Friday nights on DragonCon weekend. They call it the last night on Alderaan. But Haley and I are not really. We're not very big dancers. So,
oh my god!
And it was late. They started at like 10 o'clock, and it was ending at like 2.
So I was like 9:30. I'm in bed doing my Sudoku, about to fall asleep. So.
All right. So I was like, no, thanks. And I
last night on Alderaan. What a fantastic
name!
Name.
Great name. And that's something I would be interested in, but I was the main reason I wanted to go there was some creators I knew that were going to be there, and I really wanted to see, really wanted.
And was it on the
meet.
first night of the con?
I believe it was the second night, on Friday
Second
night.
night.
Yeah.
So maybe if I go next year and we can go together, we can take like a little last night in Alderaan
nap beforehand
at the
and then go
hotel,
out.
and then be ready for a 10 o'clock event kind of thing.
That'd be cool.
That could be really fun.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that I'm just dying to ask you is
Sure.
the writers panel, the Star Wars writers panel.
Yes.
Because I saw some pictures online and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was cool.
Was Nick there? And Nick was there.
I want to
hear all about it. And tell us, for the audience, like who was there.
Yeah, so they, this panel is called the Awesome Star Wars Authors, and there were 7 of them actually, 7 different
7 authors. Oh my goodness!
So it was cool. They had Claudia Gray, John Jackson Miller.
Okay,
he was there. Delilah Dawson.
Okay.
Timothy Zahn.
Oh my goodness.
Kevin J. Anderson.
Okay.
Michael Stackpole, and I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. Who am I forgetting?
I don't know.
It's going to kill me. It's going to kill me.
No, I wasn't there.
I apologize. I can't
remember. I'm looking at my books to see.
Let me see.
Was Alan Dean Foster there?
Alan Dean Foster was not there.
Okay.
There was I don't think he's done working. He said a number of years, so I don't remember.
E.K. Johnston?
No, this is a older. Let me look. They have a DragonCon app. Let me look on it, and I can tell you.
Okay.
Greg Keyes. Not familiar with his work. He said he hasn't wrote Star Wars in over 20 years, so it's been a long time since he's wrote.
Do you know what he wrote?
Oh, they said I think he wrote some comics for Dark Horse. And I don't remember exactly offhand his work, and I apologize. But
and tell me the name again.
Greg Keyes.
Okay.
So
I learned something today.
Yeah, it was interesting. And since there were 7 of them, and it was only an hour panel. So
they usually are, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't get up and ask a question. I wanted to, but there was too many people. It was very packed, and they had all 7. The moderator. He's a really good moderator. He only asked 3 questions, and then
wow.
And then by the time we hit those 3 questions over, he's like, "All right, let's get to the audience." We had about 20 minutes left, and then because there's 7 people,
right.
There's only about three fans got to ask questions. So by the time they were all done, it's kind of like, oh, we got to wrap up. We're finished. So there was a ton of people. There's probably like 10 or 15 people in line, but only about 3 or 4 of them got to ask a question.
Wow.
So I wish it was a little longer, just so people got an opportunity to do that. But we sat towards the back actually, so I know there was no way I was going to be able to get there in front.
Right.
But it was cool.
Next year.
Next year, maybe. Yeah, I know where it is this time.
So what kind of things did they talk about?
Well, they just talked about, the moderator talked about, how did you tell us how you got into Star Wars? What's your first experience with Star Wars? Everybody told stories about going to see the first movie, or seeing, going with their family, watching it over and over. And, I think Delilah Dawson's the youngest, and she's like 44. So everyone else is in their 50s and 60s. So they all had different, experiences.
Right.
But, a lot of them, they talked about, how they got approached to write Star Wars, which was interesting. And then talked about some of the different characters they liked, and some things. There was a couple of things that they talked about they wish they could have done. Like Timothy Zahn said he could have wished he could have written more Han Solo, which is interesting.
Oh wow!
And I've not read a lot of his work, but I guess he hasn't written Han Solo extensively. He said he wanted to do
the first Thrawn trilogy.
The
original trilogy of Thrawn does have Han Solo as a character,
but he's not like the main character. He's
not the main character.
Yeah, I think he was the way he was talking. He wanted like a Han Solo centric story where he
right
would have made it cool. I mean, hey, I'm sure they would let him do that now if he wanted to.
And Kevin J. Anderson did that with the Jedi Academy trilogy.
Yeah, I think he wrote Tales of the Jedi as well, the comic series, which I've been wanting to read. So that's interesting.
I think that's. Oh, maybe. I know that John Jackson Miller did the Tales of the Old Republic.
Yes, and he did.
Which I am reading, and it is just amazing.
He wrote Clone Wars comics for Dark Horse in the 2000s as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and
this Old Republic series is really
good.
Really,
I've heard a lot of good things.
I remember reading something about Claudia Gray that she actually started as a fan fiction writer. Did she
Yeah,
say anything about that?
she didn't mention her fan fiction. She talked about some young adult stories and how that's how what's her bread and butter, young adult.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
she started writing some young adult stories. Very fun panel. I was my favorite one that I went to over the weekend. That was the coolest
I
one.
would have loved to have been there.
It
That
was cool.
sounds just marvelous. And it's really interesting when we were chatting about the things that you were doing in like you told me there was a Yoda Grogu panel.
Yeah, there was.
I'm like, they don't do anything like that at C2E2. I was sort of
cool.
like, okay, I am officially envious right now.
So
because that was, did you go to that one?
I did. I went to 5 total. So I went to the authors panel, the Grogu and Yoda, which they have a puppet track too, which is actually right across the hall from the Star Wars track.
Oh wow!
And talk about the history of puppetry, how to create puppets, how to utilize puppets, and they kind of had some crossover there and talked about the history of Yoda as a puppet and kind of how it's led into Grogu and the impact he's having on puppetry. So it was really interesting.
Oh, that's great.
That was pretty cool.
That's great.
They went to the first one we went to was actually Attack of the Clones. They did a panel talking about because this year's the 20-year anniversary.
The 20th anniversary.
Just talking about the impact of the film and how perceptions changed and just looking back on it and celebrating it. That was cool. We did which one? I wrote them down. Obi-Wan. Oh, that was a fun one too. We talked about the Obi-Wan show, kind of a debriefing. How everybody talked about what they loved about it and what where we're going next possibly, and that was a good one.
Yeah,
and then the last one.
Go ahead.
The last one we went to was the last panel they did on DragonCon was on the last day, and it was a speculating panel, is what they called it, and it was moderated and hosted by Star Wars Explained.
Oh yeah,
and they were just kind of talking about what's coming up, with Mando, Bad Batch, Andor, just talking about what are we expecting to see, kind of thing like that, and it was pretty fun. Why don't we
go to our slideshow, because I'm dying to see.
Oh yes.
I'm dying to see the cosplay that you saw.
Oh, so many fun cosplays, and
that's great.
I'm not, for those of you who don't know, I'm not a very artistic person. I would say I can barely draw a stick figure, but I really admire art and the way people are so creative. And there were some I didn't even get to picture of, but I'll tell you about one that I really love because it's a crossover of two of my favorite things. There was a stormtrooper, and this was like in between panels. I guess it was very busy, and I just saw him, and I didn't get a chance to stop and be like, "Hey, can I get a picture?" But it was a stormtrooper, and he was covered in black, and he was like, the idea was a symbiote was taking over the stormtrooper costume, and it looked so incredible. It had the little tentacles like Venom would have, and it was like drooping, and oh man, it was so cool.
Oh wow,
it was neat.
Wow.
And it had the little Venom eyes instead of the stormtrooper eyes, and I was like, that's cool. I wish I could have stopped and got a picture, but I didn't see him again, unfortunately. So I don't know where he ended up, but that was such a cool cosplay.
You might want to check the website of DragonCon. Maybe somebody took a picture and uploaded it.
Yeah, I'll have to look and see if we can find it.
All right, let's see the show.
Let me share my screen real quick, and So I just took this picture because I wanted proof.
Look at that. My copy of Into the Dark. 9222.
Yes, she wrote For Light and Life. I love that touch.
Oh, how nice!
So cool. She's such a sweet lady. I enjoyed talking to her. It was only brief, but it was cool. She was fun.
That's great.
And then the woman herself.
Yes.
Got to meet her. She was very fun.
And there's The Murder Mystery, which is her latest book.
Yeah. I know you said Joseph had picked that up. Is that correct?
Joseph just bought it last week. He hasn't started reading it yet, but he's very excited because he's a huge Jane Austen fan. And he is a huge murder mystery fan. So
okay, good.
But and we read out loud Lost Stars together this summer. So it's like a triple whammy.
Yeah. Oh, she had a ton of copies of all her books. And this is a Spider-Man artist, Mark Bagley. He's one of my favorite artists. He's the other person that didn't charge me for a signature. He personalized it to me. So he said, if this is for your personal collection, I'm not going to charge you for that. And I said, cool. So
and he signed a comic or a poster?
A comic. It's I don't know. I should have took a picture with the comic, but it's that little comic. I don't know if you can see on the table there.
Got it. I see it.
Let's see who's next. I don't remember what order these are in. Oh, so this is my favorite Spider-Man artist, and he was a delight. This man was funny. And I've seen interviews with him and listened to him on podcasts. He's great. His name's John Romita Jr., and his dad was a legendary artist at Marvel. I worked with Stan Lee extensively on a lot of different comics.
Oh wow.
And he kind of broke into comics when he was very young, and he's been doing it for a number of years since the 80s. And really funny guy. He joked with us, signed 2 comics for me, signed my favorite issue. One of my favorite issues. I don't know if it's my favorite. It's one up there. Spider-Man, and really cool guy. So one of the most genuine people I've met the whole weekend.
That's wonderful. It is one of the things that I love about cons, that you get to see the creators.
Yeah.
And you get to sort of realize, sort of the humanity of them. And it's just sort of really nice to sort of have that sort of social interaction with them.
Right.
That's just really quite fun.
It was very fun.
By the way, I love the t-shirt in your previous picture. That was just great.
Oh yes, I wore that one. I wore that specifically because we were going to the Attack of the Clones panel. So I was like, yep, very fitting. So this is the main room where they did the Star Wars panels. The Star Wars track. This kind of what it looked like in there. I took a picture of that. Just to give you an idea.
Okay.
I think we're getting to the cosplays. So
yeah, I'm waiting.
Just me with a stormtrooper. He was hanging out at that bar the whole time. And this was on the last day. So I thought, well, I'll just get a picture of the stormtrooper. Why not? So this is I'm not a chess player, but I don't know if you've heard about this or if I told you about this.
No, you had not.
This is a thing they do for charity every year. It's called Chess with the Jawa. And they have the whole weekend he's setting up.
Oh my God.
He's adorable.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Sorry. He set up a table on the 3rd floor of the Marriott every year, and they do it for charity. They work with the Open Hand of Atlanta. It's a food bank in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And he plays chess the whole weekend. They just set him up. People come by and watch and try to play him. And they donated, I think, over $6,600 this year.
Wow.
So they raised a lot of money, and that was awesome. Their goal was 6,000, so they definitely met that. And really cool thing they do for charity. And
that's wonderful.
This guy, I don't play chess.
I don't either.
But I want to learn, because this man, he played 215 matches over the weekend. Do you know how many he won? Take a guess.
Half of them?
He won 213. This man is incredible. He only lost 2 matches the whole weekend.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh goodness, this man is serious. So I told Haley, I'm going to learn chess. Next year.
He certainly got the practice with all of those.
Yes. I said, next year we're going to learn. I'm going to try and play him. I'm probably going to lose. But
awesome.
I just want to say I'm one of those that he beat. I took this one specifically for you. This was after the Awesome Authors of Star Wars panel.
Okay.
I ran into this girl. She sat behind us. She was wearing an Avar Kriss. She designed.
Yes, I can see that.
Yeah. She was one of I didn't see many High Republic cosplays, but we were talking after briefly, and I was like, I love your cosplay. You care if I get a picture? She said, of course. And I was like, I'm disappointed. I wish I would see more High Republic. And she said, yeah, me too. And she said, I just kind of did this on a whim, and it looks good. I love it.
Yeah. There it is. There's the panel.
Here's the awesome
Star Wars writers.
Yeah, this panel. This was kind of our seat. I zoomed in a little bit, but we're pretty close to the back. We kind of got there. We didn't know where it was. We got lost and got to the line kind of late, but we found it. And yeah, so it was pretty cool. The sound was great, so we could hear everything. It wasn't like an issue.
That's great.
This awesome Darth Maul.
Oh wow.
Awesome Darth Maul. Oh gosh, I felt so embarrassed. I was on my way back from the restroom, and I just saw this Darth Maul cosplay sitting on the floor, and I thought, so I said, hey sir, do you care if I get a picture? So the cosplayer stands up, and it's a woman and has the most girliest voice in the world. She said, sure. And I thought, I was like, I love that. I said, I'm so sorry. She said, no, don't worry about it. She said, it happened all weekend. I was like, I still feel bad. But she was good about it. She was fun.
Well, and I think it's sort of one of the wonderful things about cosplay that regardless of gender,
yeah,
you can be whoever you want.
Right.
And I think
she obviously did a good job. If I thought
there's a magic to it. There's
a
magic to it. It's just beautiful. That's great.
This Kanan cosplay.
Look at that.
This man. Oh,
Kanan lives.
we were standing in line at Starbucks, and I just saw him coming down the elevator, and he walked towards us, and I was like, hey, can I get a picture? And he said, yeah. And he's the only one I saw, but apparently their Facebook page, the DragonCon Facebook page, they posted somebody else who did the one with the mask over his eyes. There was another guy there, but I never saw him. But I got to see this guy. He was very
beautiful.
Nice. He said this was his first cosplay.
Oh wow!
So he did really good.
Good for him.
Yeah. They recreated the Tuskens attacking Luke. That was a funny one. I just happened to be walking by, and I thought, let me take a picture of this. This Ahsoka one. There was so many Ahsoka ones.
Oh, yeah. Well, Ahsoka is classic.
She's very popular. But she sat behind us at the Attack of the Clones panel, and I thought hers was the coolest looking one. And I asked her, I was like, hey, do you care if we get a picture? And she said, sure. So we took one right after the panel, and it was cool.
That's really well done.
It was, yeah.
Fun.
Oh,
wow.
So I don't know. This is a trend at DragonCon. There is I think it's at the Marriott, at the lobby of the Marriott.
Okay.
The carpet is a big sticking point because that's the design of the carpet, what the Mandalorian's wearing, and it's kind of an inside joke for everybody that goes to DragonCon.
So it's a DragonCon thing.
Yeah. So
interesting.
There's so many people that had like mask or lanyards or T-shirts with that carpet design. It's very popular. It's very funny. Saw some very cool cosplays with that. And this guy, he was just standing around. And I was like, I got to get this. This is cool.
Now, Nick, did you get any sense that were most people local? Were there people coming from other parts of the country? What was your sense?
I didn't ask some of them. The one stormtrooper I took a picture of, I showed at the beginning. He told me he was from Michigan.
Oh, wow.
He goes to cons all over the country, he says.
Okay.
Some of these people, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But that was the one where I was like, wow, he came from far away. I assumed everybody was from Atlanta.
Is that an Ewok in the back of that picture?
Oh, there was an Ewok, but I did not get to. Let me go back.
You see the back on the left?
Yeah, I see. There was, and I did not get a
very
chance.
Tall Ewok.
A lot of the kids and a lot of people were taking pictures with the Ewok, and I didn't get a chance to get a picture with the Ewok. But
got it.
Christmas Santa or Christmas Vader.
Christmas Vader, very
popular one. That was cool.
That's fun.
This Chewbacca is incredible. This is a person on stilts.
Oh, wow.
Because they come down the hallway and we heard the clicking of the stilts and they're kind of wobbling. And we look up and we're like, holy cow. I wish I would have got a picture next to him to show you kind of how tall he was. But
well, I mean, you can see this guy here.
Oh, man.
The Akira motorcycle guy.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And that's a beautiful room with that circular ceiling and all of that. Oh, yeah. Wow.
So this is actually Molly Damon from Star Wars Explained.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got to chat with her just for a second. She was there, and I was like, "Hey, I'm a big fan of the channel. Do you care if I take a quick pic?" She does her Dark Ray from the Rise of Skywalker. So I was like, "Yeah, do you care if I get a quick pic?" She said, "Of course not." And she was really nice. This was one of my favorites. She did a little Peli Motto cosplay. She was funny. I liked her. I was like, "Hey, can I get a picture?" And I didn't realize she did that face until after I looked at the picture.
That's wonderful. Oh, that's just wonderful.
What I'm seeing. And then that's I don't know if you've probably seen those big T-Rexes that everybody wears. Right.
Turned into a Vader.
And I was like, that's fun.
Oh my God. I love the
Hera. Oh yeah, I got almost all of the Ghost crew except for Ezra and Zeb.
Really.
I didn't see a Zeb. There was an Ezra, but I never ran into him. Apparently, I kept trying to find him. I never found him. But
there were lots of Ezras at Celebration this spring.
That's cool. She was nice lady.
A few Zebs, but not too many. Oh, look at that!
Yeah, these guys were cool.
Oh, that's a fun Cara Dune.
Yeah, it is. I didn't realize that somebody else took our picture, obviously, and it got our eyes closed. I didn't realize that until later. But yeah, it was fun. One of the few pictures. Me and Haley just took pictures of the cosplay. We didn't get in many pictures, but that was one of the few.
Good. That's cool.
This was on our way to the con. We stopped at on the way because they were passing. I think they stayed at the same hotel as us, and that's a father and son. The dad is Palpatine, and the son's supposed to be Obi-Wan.
Right.
It's really cool. That makeup looked really awesome on him.
The Emperor is spooky.
Yes, he was. And then
Sabine.
The Sabine. And then that's a really good Anakin. I love that she did the had the contacts in. It was really cool. That's the entrance to the
Oh,
artist
that's
alley.
beautiful.
It was fun. Oh, I loved that. So I had to snap a quick picture of that.
I love the Yoda next to a Dalek.
I saw that.
That's
I love all
great.
of them. I love that art style. It's so fun.
Speed Racer, Wonder Woman, Spock.
This is Jerry Conway.
Oh,
that I
this
was
is
telling
the
you
guy
about
you were
earlier.
talking about. Uh-huh.
Yeah, very nice guy.
The man who killed Gwen Stacy.
That's his claim to fame, he says.
Oh my God.
And just me and Haley. One day,
Oh,
first day before
it's
we
like
started.
the pine is coming out of her head.
Yes. So I took a picture of this. This was at the
Oh my
Marriott,
goodness.
and you watched Loki? Is that right?
Yes.
This is where the TVA was filmed.
Oh, really?
Yes, and it's 47 floors on this building, and this is the main lobby of it. And so every time I was in the hotel and I kept seeing people in that elevator, I kept thinking, can't wait to see Mobius and Loki come out of the elevator.
Did anybody do Loki as a cosplay?
There was some Lokis, yeah.
Okay.
I saw a lot of Thors too.
Okay.
And oh yeah, it was cool. That's couple
great.
of people dressed up like members from the TVA. So it was really fun. Oh, these are the fun ones.
Yay!
Me with
You sent that
BB-8.
one to me on the phone.
I sent some of these to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was our first day there. Me with a BB-8. R2.
R2.
Wonderful.
That's a nice R2. I assume
yeah.
that was a fan made one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They had a couple that was really cool. Chopper was great, and every time there was a switch he would flip and he would play the Rebels theme and he would start doing a little dance. It was adorable.
Oh, fun!
I should have got it on video, but it was so cool. So that was it.
Wow.
Got to do a lot of cool stuff. Got to see a lot of cool things, and that was fun.
It sounds fun, and
so for those,
it's really, I mean, the panels, they just sound really awesome.
They were fan led too, and I had messaged them or emailed them back in the summer about doing a panel because they had a post on Instagram. It's like, if you want to lead a panel, email us, and they had a list of the topics, and I thought, oh, I would love to do one, and never heard back from them, unfortunately. So maybe next year. Maybe
we need to be famous.
I don't know. I met one guy. He has a YouTube channel, YTC Tower.
Okay.
His name's Kyle Bennett. I met him there. He did one of the panels. He did the Obi-Wan panel, actually. Really cool guy. Really fun. And he hung around the Star Wars track a lot. But there was like a sophomore in high school who did one of the panels.
Wow.
He was 15 years old, and I'm like, how did he must know. Anyway, I'm not complaining, but it was cool. I was like, I would love to do a panel. I would love to do a panel. So maybe next year.
I didn't know that you could apply as a podcast to do presentations at Celebration.
You can.
So we should be thinking about that.
Well, so one of my favorite podcasts, the Star Wars Splash Page, that they review Star Wars comics every week, they applied and they didn't get it, but it was really cool. They told me about the process, and I really, really think it'd be fun. I would love to do it at DragonCon if they would have us. I think that would be awesome.
That could be fun.
Memberships are on sale, actually, for anybody. This is not a paid advertisement, but they were telling me this because I was interested in going back. Me and Haley talked about it. Memberships are on sale for $85 for the whole weekend, and that's until September 19th. So if you want to go next year, only $85. So not bad at all.
Wow, that's great
for a whole weekend.
That's great.
So, but yeah, that was my first con experience, and I absolutely loved it.
Woohoo! Well, thank you, Nick. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us.
That the audience enjoyed that. It was really fun for me because I've never been to it, and I've heard really good things about it. So it was fun. It was so fun getting a sense of it.
Yeah. Well,
thank you very much.
May the force be with you all, guys.
May the force be with you.